did her spending everything that she had and doing everything that she could do, not only did she not get better, she got worse. And so, no doubt, as she's there in that town, I didn't really go look at the scripture before to find out exactly where Jesus may have been at this time, but there was a phrase there that said she heard about Jesus. And now, no doubt, you know, the proclamations had already been made that he had healed the sick and caused the blind to see and raised the dead and done all these wonderful things. And Brother Tom, she thought, if I could just get to him, I wonder what he could do for me. And then, of course, and just like every time Jesus went anywhere, there was a great crowd of people around him. And so she sees him coming through this crowd, and she's pushing her way through this crowd. Now I won't get real gory in the details or anything, but this woman had an issue of blood, and this blood was running from her body. And in Jewish customs, Brother Keith, she was not even supposed to be in public during this time. She wasn't even supposed to be anywhere near other people because of what was going on in her life. But no doubt, through that crowd, as we've read here in the Bible, she kept pushing her way through that crowd. She knew she had to get to Jesus. She didn't know what she was going to do when she got there, but she just knew she had to get there, Brother Greg. She knew she had to get to that man that she had heard had raised the dead and caused the blind to see and healed the sick and fed all these people with 5 loaves. She said, there's got to be something about him that could probably heal what's going on in me. And so she pushed through the crowd, and when she got there, all she did was touch the hem of his garment. And it said immediately her blood issue was fixed. Now, studying through some of this, I got to looking, and if you look back over in Matthew chapter 9, right around verse 20, it tells us it was the hem of his garment. Now, of course, I can remember watching my mother and my grandmother, you know, used to sew clothes together. I mean, when we grew up, if you got a hole in your breeches, they put a patch on it, or they sewed it up or done whatever, or your grandmother would make quilts and blankets and all that. And I can remember watching them sew and doing all that stuff growing up. But I don't remember a whole lot of the language and stuff like that. So I went and done a little studying on hemming. The hem of a garment, Miss Sandra, is the strongest part of that garment. It's where the pieces of the garment are folded together and stitched. Y'all ain't getting it yet. God stitched us into His work and in His life when He saved us. We had an issue of blood. Our blood was tainted. Our blood was fleshly. Our blood was full of sin. We had an issue of blood until we made it to Calvary. If you're sitting here this morning, a child of God, you had an issue of blood, just like this one. Although different, although hers was physical, ours was spiritual, we had an issue of blood one day in our life, and we had to get to the Father. Now that hymn, the other thing about it that I read, and I can remember watching my grandmother do this, and a lot of us in here will remember this. Brother Terry, we got a lot of hand-me-down clothes. And sometimes you may get a pair of breeches that might be a little too long or might be a little too short. Well, she'd take that stitch off of that hem and fix it. You was able to adjust the garment at the hem. I'm going to say that again because y'all need to wait. Some of y'all need to get some coffee because y'all ain't awake this morning. He can adjust us when we needed some adjusting. That thing in our life that don't need to be there, He can get it out. That thing in our life that needs to be there, He can get it in and sew us up on that hem there. You may be sitting here this morning lost and on your way to hell. I'm here to tell you this morning you've got an issue of blood, just like this lady did. You fought it. You've looked for the answers everywhere, and you can't find them. You've looked for that peace, You've looked for everything you can to clear your mind. And the only place you're going to get it is piled up in an altar somewhere, getting to the hem of his garment. Now, as I continued to look at the hem, it said the other part, not only can, Brother Greg, is that an area where the garment's the strongest and where it can be adjusted. Miss Kristen, that hem of the garment also is the strongest part and keeps it from fraying. Hey, when the devil's throwing them fiery darts at you left and right, and it seems like everything you do is a dead end, and every corner you turn is not the right way, hey, just remember the Lord's hemmed you up. And we ain't got to be frazzled or afraid anymore, because we are a child of the King. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, that name that every knee will bow, every tongue will confess that He is Lord. Hey, He's got us hemmed up. The day He saved you, He hemmed you up. Then here was with knowing where she touched His garment. And I've told y'all, I'm educated more in farm than I am in anything. So I have to go do a lot of studying sometimes. Think about the word hemoglobin, hemophiliac, and stuff like that. That word hem, H-E-M. You know what the first definition of that word is? Blood. The first definition of the prefix of hem, hemoglobin, hemophiliac, and you think of all the other medical words that use the word hem, Brother Terry, it's blood. It was His blood that He shed at Calvary that saved an old wretch like me, Miss Cookie, and I don't have to face that awful place called hell anymore. She had a blood issue and had to go to His blood. Brother Greg, she touched Him at the hem of His garment. Now, preacher, what's significant about that? That old dirty disease blood she got made whole. Just like the day you got saved, God made you whole. You've let the devil beat you up long enough. Tell you ain't good enough. And he's right. You're not in your flesh. But child of God, you've been made whole through the blood. Hey, that day I can take you back. I can just about, if that same carpet is still in that pastor's office, Brother Eric, I can just about take you back to the very grain of carpet where I got to touch his hem and be made whole as an 8-year-old boy on a Tuesday night of Vacation Bible School. That man of God come in our room, and Brother Max Wright, he's dead and in glory now. And Brother Dick, as an 8-year-old boy, he come in there, and he was just going to do like an attendance check. And he started out the door, and he closed the door, and he looked back at our teacher, and he said, Miss Barbara, you're going to have to give me a few minutes. He said, I got to say something. And Brother Randy, for about it felt like 2 hours, but it's probably about 10 minutes. He opened the floor up, and I saw hell for the first time. And Miss Krista, I knew if I died, that's where I was going, was to hell. And I remember for the first time in my life thinking, just because Daddy's a deacon, just because Mama's the church clerk, secretary, and treasurer, ain't going to get me there. I've got to get my own relationship with Him. And he went back to that office. And Brother Terry, there was a girl I grew up with. She was a piano player there in the church as we got older. I looked over at her, and she was crying. And I said, Robin, why are you crying? She said, I'm going to hell. I said, I am too. And I looked at Miss Barbara Bell, and I said, Miss Barbara, I got to go talk to the preacher because I'm going to hell. And I grabbed Robin by the arm, and we ran to the preacher's office. I went and knocked on that door. And he said, come in, boy. Now, there was a closed door there. He said, come in, boy. Brother Tom opened that door. There's a big old grin across that old man of God's face. He said, I was waiting on you. And I said, preacher, how'd you know I was a-coming? He said, I saw conviction on your heart. He said, I knew that tap wasn't the tap of an adult. He said, I knew it was a kid. He said, I was sitting here praying that God save him today. I said, well, it ain't just me. I got Robin with me. And we went in that office. And he told me about that man named Jesus. I'd heard about it, but I'd never heard about it like this. Just like this woman, Brother Terry, she had heard about him, but she had never heard about him like she was fixing to experience him. And I was fixing to get to experience Jesus for the first time. And boy, he basically walked us down that Romans road. Took us down through there. And I told him, I said, Brother Max, I said, if I die right now, I'm going to hell, and I don't want to. He said, that can change right now. And I remember I knelt down, and I grabbed a hold of the corner of that desk. And I don't remember what I said other than this. I said, Lord, I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to go to hell. And I said, if you'll save me, I won't have to go to hell. And I asked him to save me that day. And I come up from there, and just like this woman's issue of blood dried up, Brother Eric, my tears dried up. Because I was headed to a whole lot better place than hell. I was heaven bound from that moment on. I went and grabbed that office door and slung it open, and my mama was teaching a class about 4 doors down the hallway. I went and jumped through the door. I was grabbing the handle as I was going through it at the same time. And Mama looked at me and she said, boy, you're all right. I said, Mama, I ain't going to hell no more. I ain't going to hell no more. And boy, she wept and cried and shouted a little bit. Brother Tom, through the years, I lost that joy from that day. Hey, I was running through there so loud, Brother Eric, they was stopping other classes looking out the door to see what was going on. There's me and Robin running through. We're not going to hell. We're not going to hell. They're stopping and looking out. But I let the devil rob me of some of that joy. I let some of my own decisions that I made in my life rob me of that joy that I had as an 8-year-old boy. How many of us are sitting here this morning, saved? If you died today, you're going to heaven. But you don't have that same joy that you used to have the day the Lord saved you. I'd be willing to say it's 100%. Brother Keith, I feel confident that 100% of the saved people in this church this morning don't have that joy that they used to. God wants to restore it this morning, though. All she did was touch it. You've already been there before, and you need to get back. He said it. It's revival. I told him yesterday in the men's meeting. I had a man that was going to come and speak and was really looking forward to it, and they had a family emergency and he couldn't come, and so the Lord made me talk yesterday. And I told him over there yesterday when we were working on that soffit over there, I said, man, it got a little thick in there. For me, I don't know about for y'all, but it got thick. And it did. It got real good in there. But we got to talking about revival. In Psalms 85:6 says, wilt thou not revive us again? You know what that tells me? They've experienced revival before. Hey, If you're sitting here this morning, a saved child of God, you've experienced revival because you were brought from death unto life. You've had a spiritual revival the day the Lord saved you. Now, each and every one of us can probably think about times in our life and in our ministry and in our walk or whatever that the Lord's done. I could go on all morning, all day long, naming off things the Lord's done for me to where I've experienced a revival in my heart. And if you've ever experienced it one time, you'll want it again. Brother Terry, I'm a meat eater. I love meat. To me, there ain't nothing no better than a big ribeye steak, baked potato, a little sour cream, butter, and some bacon in it. Because I know how good that is, I crave it all the time. We went Friday night. Guess what I had to eat? Ribeye steak with some butter and sour cream. They didn't have no bacon in it, but that's all right. I had some slaw and okra to go with it too, but that's beside the point. But I crave it because I've had it. A child of God ought to crave real revival in their life. And this is what I told the men. I said all that to say this. This is what I told the men yesterday. Revival is not going to start in that meeting over there in 3 weeks. It's not, Brother Elgin. It's not going to start over there because we'll never have it over there if we don't have it in here first. Brother Keith, don't expect revival to come to you over there if you don't do something about it before we get there. Brother Terry, you can't expect it. Now, and I told the men this yesterday, these men that are coming to preach, they're going to bring revival with them. There's not a doubt in my mind, Brother Danis. They'll bring revival. I used to think a man of God couldn't bring revival. I'm wrong. They can. But Miss Ann, it's left up to us what we do with it. It's left up to us how we prepare for it. It's left up to us if we truly want to experience revival in our life. This lady needed a revival. She had spent 12 years. Everything she had was gone. And not only was she not better, she was worse. Verse 26, had suffered many things of many physicians, and spent all that she had, and was nothing bettered, but grew worse. Thank you, Lord. Lord just told me something. As a child of God, if you're not living the way if you're not doing what He's asking you to do, living the way He wants you to live, you'll grow worse, not better. Oh, there's joy in sin for a season. For a season. As an 8-year-old boy, God saved me as an 8-year-old boy. As a 17-year-old kid, I got real rebellious. And I went and enjoyed some of that sin. But it was just for a season. Brother Jeremy, it was just for a little while. And then the Lord took that spiritual belt off and took me behind the woodshed and tore my rear end up. You'll enjoy sin for a little while. Now, if you're sitting here this morning and you're not saved, you'll enjoy sin and won't have that little, hey, you know better. If you're sitting here this morning and you can sin and you don't hear that voice, I'd barrel up in this altar before I walked out them doors this morning because you're on the way to hell. But as a child of God, when you get out there and get to enjoying those things, you'll hear that, hey, you know better than that. Or, don't go there. Don't do that. Brother Keith, in our flesh, we go, I can do it this one time and it'll be all right. Well, that one time leads to another, and it leads to another. And then the next thing you know, you get to where I got, where you can't hear the voice of God anymore. And then when he does go to talking to you again, Brother Terry, you go, I ain't ready for that just yet. I'm okay doing what I'm doing. She needed a revival in her physical body. We need a revival in our spiritual lives. Well, I had no idea this was going this way till he said that. But this is the way the Lord's, and I'm all right with it. Thank you, Lord. You're sitting here, your spiritual life. Hey, if the Lord came back right now, you're going to heaven, but you need a spiritual revival in your life. That's what she needed. She needed a physical revival. She was dang near dead. I don't understand how somebody can bleed for 12 years and not be dead, but this woman did. And not only did she not get better doing all the things she thought she should be doing. Well, I can go to this doctor and spend this money, or go to this doctor and spend this money, and you thinking, well, I can do it this way and I'll be all right, or I can do it this way and be all right, and you're getting worse every day in your spiritual walk. She got worse. You've tried everything in the world. Give it to God. Why not give it to God? Say, Lord, Brother Eric, one of the greatest days of my life outside of the day he saved me was when I came back and I said, all right, I'm tired of doing it my way. I'm doing it your way now. I told the men over there yesterday, Sister Barbara, it didn't happen overnight. It took a little time. I spent 8+ years doing it my way. What in the world makes you going to turn it all around overnight? No. Hey, just like if your kids get out of line, hey, when that right there got out of line, you probably had to ground him and say, hey, we're going to do this way for a little while, and there's going to be some things you ain't going to get to do for a while. That's the way the Lord is when we come back. It's all right, but it's gradual. Just like over in Job chapter 40, and I even mentioned this yesterday, Job chapter 40, when he turned the captivity of Job, and he gave him far greater than what he had. There ain't nothing in the world's got to offer that's any greater than what the Lord can give you. And I ain't talking about material stuff. Material stuff aside. Hey, will God give you material blessings? Absolutely, He will. I've got more right now, Brother Tom, than I've ever had, making less money than I've ever made. I do, Greg. I've got more right now, making less money than I've ever made. But it's those spiritual things that God will give you when you're obedient to what He wants you to do. I've said that word a lot lately because He's had to drill it in my head about being obedient. It's real easy to read something and go, oh yeah, boy, that's good stuff. But when you get asked to do it, now Lord, I don't know that I was ready for that. Lord, I didn't want to do that. I've told y'all before, if I had my druthers, I'd be sitting right there and there'd be another man preaching this morning. But Alan, this is what the Lord's asked me to do. And although this is the Lord's church and I'm the under-shepherd of it, this is my church. This is my people. But after I stopped doing things my way and I said, all right, Lord, your way. Brother Tom, let me tell you what the greatest thing was for me. I got up one morning with a desire. Not a want to or a have to. A desire to read my Bible. And Brother Greg, after I got done reading my Bible that morning, you know what I did next? I had a desire to hit my knees and pray. I was starting to experience, Miss Cynthia, a spiritual revival in my life. And because I had had it before and I knew what it felt like, all it did was make me want more. Now, just like Friday night when I was eating that steak, there come a time my belly said, all right, that's enough of that. And I had to carry the rest of it home. Will finished it off last night. But the good thing about that giving that God will give you, you won't never get too much of it. And the more you get, the more you'll want. And the more you'll desire it. The more you'll crave it. The more you'll do things to experience it. If you've ever experienced it, you'll want more of it. And if we're ever going to have it over there, we're 3 weeks away. If we're ever going to have it, it's going to start here. It ain't going to start over there. It's going to start here. And here this woman is. She's needing something because she's done everything she knows to do. You're sitting here this morning and you need something. You already know what it is. God's already laid His finger on it and told you what it is. The hem of His garment, Brother Nathan, is still within reach this morning. Preacher, I just don't feel it. Sometimes you got to faith it until you feel it. I'm going to say that again. Preacher, I just don't feel it. Sometimes you got to faith it until you feel it. Did I feel like getting up this morning? Nope. But when I woke up and remembered, me and Brother Dick was talking a while ago. He said, some days I can't remember what day it is. I said, brother, I'm with you. I've got reminders on my phone to tell me what day it is on days I have to do things. But when I opened my eyes this morning and I remembered what day it was, I couldn't wait to get out of bed then because I knew where I was headed. I was headed to be in His house with His people and get to worship Him. Preacher, Brother Terry, I didn't feel like getting out of bed this morning. But because of my faith, my feet hit the floor with a renewance to get down to the house of God. You may just have to faith it this morning. There's probably days you don't feel very good going through everything you're going through. But there's something inside of you that just keeps you pushing. It's that Spirit of God. And as children of God, there's going to be things, Brother Greg, there's going to be things in your ministry He's going to ask you to do that you ain't going to feel like doing. But you're going to have to do it anyway. There's going to be things He's going to put in your ministry that you don't understand why. But you're going to have to do it anyway if you want to experience that spiritual revival. Hey, she could have very easily stayed at home and thought, what's this Jesus going to be able to do? Doctors ain't been able to do nothing. I've spent everything I've had, and I'm just getting sicker and sicker. What's this Jesus going to do for me? Before she ever felt the feeling, she had the faith that He could do it. You may just have to faith it this morning. Quit faking it and start faithing it. Quit faking it, start faithing it. I may go sign my own Bible. That's pretty good. You've been faking it long enough. It's time to faith it. Put yourself spiritually where she's at. You've tried everything. You've tried what the world's had to offer. You've tried it your way. Miss Juanita, I just want to do it His way. I know how big of a mess it is when I try to do it my way. Brother Terry, it's a train wreck when I try to do it my way. But Miss Vicki, there are times when I know I'm doing it his way and it still don't go my way, it's all right. Because it's a whole lot better than me trying to do it my way, and then when things don't go my way, I look and go, boy, you a dummy. If you're going to experience a spiritual revival in your heart, quit faking it and start faithing it. That's what she had to do. Brother Steve, she could have very easily just stayed at home that day and said, what's it going to matter? There's a few stories where when God does something like this for somebody that we find out, they went and told this person or went and told that person or went to a city, in the city, I think of the Maniac Gardera, after the Lord done what he done for him, he went down in the city and went to telling everybody. This was a man that was out of his mind and naked, and now was clothed in his right mind and telling everybody what Jesus had done for him. Think about the woman at the well. Everybody knew her history, but after God done what he done for her at the well, she went into town and said, hey, let me tell you about this man named Jesus. But we don't find out from this lady here who she impacted. Now, the crowd around her was like, and then even the disciples, Lord, you want us to tell you you see all these people around and you want us to tell you? But when he turned around, he saw her and knew. And he told her, thy faith has made thee whole. Who's going to be impacted by you? Brother Keith, there's people you come in contact with every day that I'll probably never get to meet. Brother Greg, you travel all over this country, sometimes all over the world. There's people you contact every day that I'll never get to meet. Snuffy, there's people you talk to every day that I'll probably never get to meet. Those are your impact people. Those are the people God's put in your path to impact. Here's the scary part. How are you impacting them? Brother Terry, if I would have come in here this morning mad at the world and preached mad at the world and preached mad at y'all, wouldn't have had much of an impact on you this morning. Or it would have been a real negative impact. Well, I ain't going back up there and hearing him no more. Nobody want to hear that garbage. But when I come through those doors, I try to come through with the Spirit of God so that I can make a positive spiritual impact on your Christian walk and on my Christian walk. There's no telling who she impacted when she got made whole. What kind of impact are you having on those around you? If y'all would, go ahead and give me a verse of invitation this morning. If I called up those people you work with, said, hey, tell me about old Randy. What are they going to say about you? Are they going to say, that man loves the Lord? Because every chance he gets, he tells me about him. Or are they going to say, well, he's a pretty good old boy. You kind of have to watch him from time to time. He might get a little sideways on you. Miss Bobby, if I went down there where you worked at, and I said, hey, tell me about Miss Bobby. What are they going to say about you? Brother Eric, if I went back over there to the motorcycle shop you just retired from, and I said, why don't you tell me about old Eric? What are they going to say about you? Preacher, why are you asking this question? Because that's your testimony. That's your testimony. Brother Greg, if I went and found that man at the airport that you had to go back to 4 times and said, hey, there was a man that came back to you 4 times, tell me about him, what would he have to say about you? I've worked with you long enough but what about those people that don't really know you, but you come in contact with? What would they have to say about you? What kind of impact are you making for the kingdom of God? If I went to the doctor's office with you and said, why don't you tell me about Miss Sandra? What kind of person is she? That's your testimony. That's how you're impacting the world. Is it spiritual? Because if it ain't, you need some reviving this morning. You need to be, you're saved as I am, but you better get some things made whole. Because just like this woman with this issue of blood, you've gotten worse instead of better. Let's stand this morning. Here's how I want to do the invitation. Lord, I need a spiritual revival in my life this morning. Lord, I need to be made whole this morning. I'm lost and on my way to hell, and I need you to save me and clear up my issue of this stained blood and wash me in your blood. Lord, I need you to give me that revival in my life to help me make a better impact on those I come in contact with. As they sing this morning, these altars are open. You come pray.